The final stretch of the journey is what engineers call the last mile, and despite the name, it can be anything from a few meters of copper wire inside your wall to a sprawling network of fiber that runs right to your kitchen outlet. In many neighborhoods, the most common technology is coaxial cable, the same thick gray conduit that once delivered television signals. Modern coaxial lines are equipped with a device called a cable modem, which translates the radio frequency signals traveling over the copper into digital packets that your router can understand. The advantage of coaxial is that it already exists in most suburbs, so providers can upgrade it with a technology called data over cable service, delivering speeds that rival fiber in many cases. Where fiber to the home has been deployed, the story looks a little different. A thin glass strand, no thicker than a human hair, carries pulses of light that represent your data. At the curbside, a small fiber termination box splits the incoming line into a pair that runs directly into your home. Inside, a device called an optical network terminal converts the light signals back into electrical ones, feeding them to a router. Because light can travel with virtually no loss, fiber can support gigabit speeds over long distances without the need for repeaters. In areas where fiber has not yet reached, providers may use a hybrid approach called fiber to the node, where the fiber runs to a street cabinet and the final leg to each house is completed with existing copper lines. This compromise allows faster service than pure copper while keeping deployment costs manageable. Another option that has become increasingly popular, especially in dense urban environments, is fixed wireless. Here, a small antenna mounted on a pole or building receives a millimeter wave signal from a nearby base station. The signal is then converted into digital data and sent through a short fiber or copper run into your home. Fixed wireless can be deployed quickly, bypassing the need to dig trenches, and it works well in places where laying new cable would be prohibitively expensive. However, it is more sensitive to line-of-sight obstacles and weather conditions, so performance can vary. For those living in remote or mountainous regions, satellite internet remains a vital link. Modern low Earth orbit constellations consist of thousands of small satellites that orbit just a few hundred miles above the planet, dramatically reducing the latency compared to the traditional geostationary satellites that sit at 36,000 miles. A small dish on your roof points to the sky, sending and receiving data via radio waves. While satellite can provide respectable download speeds, the round-trip time is still higher than terrestrial options, which can affect real-time applications like online gaming. Once the signal reaches your home, the next piece of the puzzle is the router. This device takes the incoming data stream and creates a local network, assigning each device its own address and managing traffic so that multiple devices can share the same connection without stepping on each other's toes. Many routers also include built-in Wi-Fi radios, broadcasting the signal through the air to phones, laptops, tablets, and smart devices. The quality of the Wi-Fi signal depends on factors such as the router's placement, the frequency band it uses, and the presence of physical obstacles like walls or furniture. For households with many devices or high bandwidth demands, a mesh network can be installed, consisting of several small nodes that work together to blanket the home in a strong, seamless signal. All of these technologies, cable, fiber, fixed wireless, satellite, and Wi-Fi, are part of a layered system that turns a request for a video on a streaming platform into a series of tiny packets that travel across oceans, through data centers, across city backbones, and finally into the device you're holding. Each layer adds its own protocols and error-checking mechanisms, ensuring that even if a packet gets lost or corrupted, it can be resolved without you noticing. This redundancy is why the internet feels instant, even though the physical journey can span thousands of kilometers and involve dozens of handoffs. Now that you've seen the full path from the global backbone to the router blinking on your desk, you might wonder how you can make the most of this complex infrastructure. One simple tip is to check where your service provider's nearest point of presence is located. The closer you are, the fewer hops your data has to make, which can reduce latency. If you're using a coaxial connection, consider upgrading to a newer modem that supports the latest standards, as this can unlock higher speeds without changing the physical line. For fiber users, make sure your router is capable of handling gigabit speeds, otherwise you'll be bottlenecked at the edge of your network. And if you rely on Wi-Fi, experiment